Thank you very much, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's been super exciting last couple of months because, as you know, the Coffee Shop Launchpad was not that long ago launched. So I basically started with it by the end of the year, and then in the last couple of 4 or 5 months, everything has developed so quickly. There's so much interest because I think there's so much passion in this topic of launching your own coffee shop, and I understand why, right? Because I have also already been through the whole process. That I have been incredibly happy with the community, with the exchange, with the amount of people joining. So I'm very happy to welcome you here. The idea of these sessions is basically, as I mentioned probably in my posts, to exchange on the different topics that I walk you through a couple of the ideas that are in the background, a couple of tools that I have developed that can be very, very useful, especially for this call in the beginning days of a coffee shop or on the ideation phase where you basically gain inspiration. And that I help you, all of you, hopefully as much as I can through my the experience that I have to launch your dream coffee shop and that it's a successful project, right? So the idea is really that you feel that there's someone behind you, supporting you, that has done it before, that can give you some ideas. And with the vision, and for me, the vision of this Coffee Shop Launchpad is then creating a huge map of the world where we can say that all of the coffee shops that have been supported, and we can pinpoint them all along. So without further ado, hello Stacy, also welcome. I will then jump to the presentation. The idea is that I will give you a little bit of an intro to this topic: how to open a coffee shop, what are the first steps, what is really necessary, some of the ideas that you can gather, and I also prepared a little bit of a worksheet that you can use. I have wanted also to record this session for a while on how to do these first steps, but I think this call was a little bit first. So I prepared a little bit then as a surprise. So I will directly share my screen. Can someone of you please let me know once you see it? There we go. This one. So you can see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Can you see a presentation or you see the community?
The presentation.
Or the call? You see the presentation. Perfect. Then I'll jump directly to it. I'll put it also in presentation mode. Probably a couple of words about myself. My name is Juan Rosenzweig. As I mentioned in a couple of the videos, I was one of the founders of here in Vienna, the Karl Ludwig Café. Was quite successful project. We won 2-3 years in a row this best coffee shop in Vienna in our category. It was a super successful project. I really liked it. I had it 6 years, and then I sold basically my part. But I always kept this passion of coffee shops on the background, and I thought, how can I use this so that I can also help people all around the world? And the idea of this Coffee Shop Launchpad came to mind, right? So yes, it was one of the best rated coffee shops back then. I ran it for 6 years together with a couple of friends, and basically with my engineering background and my innovation management background, the idea of this community is basically to bring everything that I have learned so that people can use it, share it, and of course make their project as successful as possible. Right? Good. Why did I start this project? I also realized that many of the coffee shops that were being launched, and this number can vary depending, of course, where you find it. But some people say that 60 to 80% of coffee shops basically struggle. And I find this to be true. So it's a very challenging business. It's not an easy business. And I also said, okay, if there's this big challenge and I have this knowledge on how to do it successful, I will go for it. And some of the things that I have found, many of the coffee shops basically then take for granted, or sometimes they don't consider as much. They sometimes focus on the design and the equipment, on the coffee, but they really miss margins, location economics, or the workflows, hiring. And the idea, I'm not saying that one of these points is more important than the other. I have seen very, very passionate baristas that give everything for coffee, have a really good product, but they really ignore really then the right side, right? Or I have also seen really great engineers that also wanted to have a coffee shop and ignore a little bit the coffee and the other side. So it's a little bit of a balance of considering all of the aspects. but yeah, it's key to have an overall perspective, and you will see that many of these things then of course influence a little bit to the big picture, and it's exactly what we want to create, right? If any of you guys also has a question in the in between, feel free to stop me and we can take a quick chat or an exchange. Otherwise, we'll have also this Q&A session in the end so that we can focus in whatever questions you have in this direction and first steps of opening a coffee shop, right? Good. The most expensive mistakes also that I have seen people do is signing a lease too early, so not having a full understanding or really finding what they consider a dream location without really going into depth. What could be red flags? What could be difficult? Things that might not work, or things that basically have a no permit to operate. So I have seen some really interesting problems there. Buying the wrong equipment, of course. Copying competitors blindly, designing before validating, and of course, what also was part of the challenges of our coffee shop was this being unprepared for ownership. If I would say that I had one of these mistakes in our own coffee shop, for me this was being unprepared for ownership. Why? Because I also tell it quite sometimes. I opened this coffee shop with 3 very good friends, and in the end, although it was a very successful project, we ended up being only 2 very good friends. So I think this was very much related to this being unprepared for ownership, because we all 3 of us had different expectations, and what we wanted to achieve with this coffee shop. So it was a little bit of a challenge, and yeah, good project, but yeah, friendship wise was also very challenging. And this is also one of the recommendations I give to many of the people when they want to do projects with family or friends, to consider it twice and go much more into the expectations topic and much more into detail, right? So yes, I saw all of this, and then these were most of the reasons then why I decided to open the Coffee Shop Launchpad. What is a Coffee Shop Launchpad? Is a complete path where I try to bring you from the idea to running the coffee shop, right? Going through the planning, going through the building, and also basically, yeah, guiding you through step by step. If you can give me 1 second. My wife is stuck at the door and I left it closed. I will bring you with me, but I can continue presenting. So yes, it guides you through the whole thing step by step. And one part of the community is free, as you know. So starting with the business case. Why did I go for the business case? Because it was one of the most challenging part also for many people, right? And this is exactly what I try to support you with throughout the journey, right? All of the whole coffee shop launchpad, the complete path is supported by training, by materials, by me personally, but I also get a little bit more to that in a second. If you go also to the full community, just you don't only get videos, you get this training and templates, you get the one-on-one support and sparing, you get a full community, and you get also an AI assistant that has been specifically trained only with the contents of the community, right? This is only for the very quick questions. But the idea is that you get full support, and through this full support, you manage basically to achieve your dream and feel more confident on taking the next step, right? As I mentioned, the full roadmap, it looks like this: inspiration and business case. This is basically the free part. And we have the different modules all around the course, going from the right place, the setup playbook, the supplier game, about the people. That's all the topic about yourself, your team, and building a proper team internally. Before you're open, on the run, and extra sauce, where I include a couple of topics about our most sold recipe, for example, about some of our best products, about technologies that also helped us operate. Here, I also share a couple of AI tools that you can use that can save you a lot of money and time when you're developing. And then the next level. So what you can also do in the next steps to operate it really, really fully. Right, and I try to give this guarantee: if you don't save more than $1,000 for the full course, you get every dollar back. The value of the free course is, I have calculated, around $5,000. What I give guys for free in the community. Of course, you only need to gather these 5 likes. And if you gather the 5 likes in your comments, you have the access to the free business case that, at least when I was doing those business cases, it took me 3 months to develop, and I have perfected it and changed it and improved it, also including all of the cost lists. right? Including the 6 years of learning, hopefully saves you 1+ more months saved, and with zero investment. So this is for me the deal that I try to give to people, give that for free so that they engage, that they try to understand what they need, and the ones that are really and truly convinced that this is the path for them to go to open a coffee shop, I then try to support a little bit further, right? Yeah, some good example about Jonathan on Field Cafe, that he basically working together with us, and he was also part of the idea why I decided to go in this direction, because he approached me after I sold my coffee shop and he told me, "Hey Juan, can you help me? I just bought one." I went to him. We had a couple of discussions, and just with a couple of changes, he basically saved 30% on coffee expenses. What was, I think, for him around the 7,000 euros per year. Right? So it was a really good deal. A lot of learnings also, because I see how others' coffee shop operates, and we turned his coffee shop also quite successful. Good. Why do people join? Getting clarity, having numbers that work, location validation, and creating confidence. But I think everyone has also their own personal reasons, right? So there's sometimes you have discussions with partners. Sometimes you really have no idea if your concept will work. Sometimes you have specific questions. So I basically am here for all of that. Good. So are you ready to build your coffee shop right away? Let me just jump to the focus of today. So ready to build something real. The idea of the call, as I mentioned today, is that we will have this focus on this idea part, how to start your own coffee shop. What I would do if I would start from zero, analyzing what there's in front of me. So what basically what first steps I would take, and guide you through with a little bit of a template that I have prepared for you, so that you can analyze everything that there's out there. I think in making a coffee shop is not reinventing the wheel, but I think it's incredibly key that you always bring your own concept, right? What you want to have, a unique selling proposition, to really focus on something that for you and for your customers will make it special. So the idea of this is take as much as you can from the places where you can get inspired, but also bring your spark of motivation, your spark of uniqueness to your project, so that people also see it. And I think that always comes through, right? And this is what we want to focus today. So how to develop in the idea, jump in, analyze other coffee shops, brainstorm a little bit, understand what others are doing, and with that you will use this as a first stone, as a first piece of the puzzle, so you can also start going in the direction of a business case, right? Good. So what are we going to do today? We are going to basically jump into this sheet, worksheet that we have developed. I will explain it step by step, and then I will share it with you, of course, after the call, so that you have access. You can print it and you can actually work with it. So you can basically take your first steps, right? So I will jump step by step here, and then you will see how all of this, if you have been also part of the community and have had access to the business case and all of the documentation that is there in the beginning, that you have the opportunity to see how it basically fits in all of this documentation, and that it takes you to your next steps. Okay. So before I move on from here, any questions from anyone in the call? I see that we have two people in the chat saying something loud and clear. Perfect. Glad to hear. Coming back to the call. I turned my video off. You see, still also one of the first times that I use this. Oh, I have to close the chat here. Perfect. So if there are no questions by now, I will then jump directly to the sheet. I think I will need to stop sharing my screen and share it again. Let me see how I do this. Stop sharing. Give me 1 sec. And then share again. Entire screen. Can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Some thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, perfect. You can see a PDF in the background, right? I hope so. Perfect. So what I really recommend in the beginning, and this is why I prepared this worksheet, right, is to go out and visit I would say at least 4 to 5 coffee shops. And I say at least because you can do something like this with 20, right? If you live in a certain city, I will also recommend to go outside your city and go to the, I don't know, most loved coffee shops of the cities nearby, right? Drive 1 hour or drive to the biggest biggest next city around you, or go to the capital city if it's not too far away of your country. So go basically one day and focus it absolutely on visiting the coffee shops that would inspire you. Right? And I don't want you just to go there, grab a coffee, and leave. But the idea of this first analysis is to take a much in-depth look at what you can really perceive in a coffee shop. And this is what I want to prepare in this sheet, right? And in each one of these coffee shops that you have prepared, that you go through this analysis, and then I will go step by step, so you will be able to perceive it differently. Many times before having a coffee shop, you see a coffee shop as a place where you go, you sit, you grab a coffee, you go, it tastes good, it doesn't taste good, and that's it, right? You feel comfortable or you don't. But I think it's much more to that, that basically you can have as in a very first hand, right? You can take a look and how they are basically organized, what kind of equipment they have, how do they move, how many steps do they need, how optimized it is. So there's so many things and details that you can take a look at, that it's there's much more beneath that you can analyze, right? So going then directly into the sheet, I have also included here on the top a couple of lines so that you can fulfill which shop are you visiting, what date it is, and if you, I don't know, 2 or 3 people together, you can also do this task with a team of friends or with a team or partners. You go to different coffee shops or to the same ones to see also if you analyze something similar or different. And yeah, you can also divide this task and then get together and discuss it, of course. And the first thing that you can analyze is this floor plan and traffic flow, right? I want you to take a pencil or a pen and basically draw a very easy sketch on how the coffee shop is organized. I also try to encourage people for this kind of analysis to go to coffee shops that are either incredibly good rated or that have a very good flow, because these are the coffee shops that you basically want to get the way of thinking alike, so that if in case your coffee shop is a successful project, that you have the right flow, that it's a profitable project, and that you have a very good idea of what is important to design from the beginning, right? So yes, make a sketch, realize basically where is the bar, where is the seating, where are the toilets, how do people move, if there's waiters or basically people only order at the bar, if they have a garden. So just create a map to see how it's basically settled, right? If there's any area that is more comfortable than any other area, if they divide people that have laptops from people that don't have laptops, are only just there to drink a coffee, if there's any place that is specifically loud or specifically separated. So there's so many things that you can observe, that it's really interesting just to take a moment, take half an hour, and just draw it as best as you can, also with all of the things that draw your attention. Right? The second thing that I would find incredibly interesting to analyze would be the machinery and tech stack. So what kind of equipment do they have for everything? And this is very interesting, because before I was starting a coffee shop, I never thought that the machines that were so crucial were the most important ones, right? And then once you're there, you're like, wow, it makes such a huge impact to have this machine or to have the other machine, because otherwise the rest is a disaster. And this happens quite a lot, and it makes a huge impact. And this is also very interesting, because many of the shops that are not very optimized, or that you see that are not working properly, they also don't have this under control, or have not solved the key aspects, right? So yes, here, right, all of the equipment that they have, the coffee machine, the grinders, the washing machine, if you have access to it, right? The fridges, if you can take a look, what kind of cleaning materials, I don't know, all of the equipment that they have, and you will see mostly that there's a why behind it. So take a deeper look, try to, I don't know, look behind the bar if you have access, or talk to a barista. Also, if you can take a look behind the bar to take a closer look, what kind of foaming machine they have. They have an ice machine, everything. That's incredibly also also interesting to analyze, because you also start getting a list of things that you see are key, list of things that they use a lot. And this also is a list that will be very, very helpful for you in the next steps. Right? Good. Now, going to point number 3 is one of the most important observations also that you can make, right? Make a specific sketch only of the bar and on the workflow area. So how does everything behind the bar look like? This is also one of the things where I see most of the people making mistakes, because they don't realize that an optimized bar really is basically makes an optimized coffee shop or an optimized restaurant, right? And this is also has a huge impact. See, and here try to analyze how far things are away from each other. If they have milk, where do they put it? Where do they take it from? How many steps they need to go there? And you will see, or at least start going into this direction and mindset of how are good coffee shops organized. And if you visit some of the coffee shops that you find not good, you will also start seeing some discrepancies, right? Some variations and some differentiations. Here, this is also one key point that I also normally mention for your team. If they have a really, really bad setup, bad organization, they will hate you for it. It will be an absolute disaster. And so, yeah, you always have to organize something like this, having them in mind. Because if you don't have a good setup and a good organization and a good workflow, all of your team will give 700, 1000 steps more per day just because of this one small decision. So, yeah, take a really good consideration, design it more into detail, take a closer look, and try to focus on what is basically different in all of them. Right? I have also included a couple of other areas here in this sheet for you to fill. Right? Try to time how much an order takes. Try to time 3 to 5 orders. Of course, it will be completely different if you go in a peak time and that not on a peak time. Observe the staff communication, how they talk to each other, how they get along, how they also talk with the customers, right? Also, see how they coordinate. Are they professional? Are they reactive? And I will have also put another placeholder for extra notes, right? What additional topics come to your attention? Is there something that you basically perceive? I don't know. Sometimes I think I have the feeling that shops that have self-service are a bit more optimized than the one that have waitresses, but that also it's a very cultural topic. So you will find many variations. In some countries, you will never be able to do self-service. But there's, I think, a lot to learn there, and you will also see what kind of notes flow in here. You will start to see some very interesting aspects. Good. The next topic that I want you to take a deeper look at is this menu and pricing. Right? Why? Because it will also be very, very helpful later on. Once you start putting all of the numbers into this small Excel that we have prepared, or if you have your own business case, you will see that also tendencies start coming through. You will see that are menu aspects that are very, very traditional and that are all on in all coffee shops. Here, I think also it's very, very important that many coffee shops have this signature item, have this unique selling proposition that it's unique to them. And also something very, very interesting to see is this upselling strategy. Is there any bundle of products that the coffee shops basically focus on? Is there anything that they normally sell together, or that they sell apart, or that they put together in the fridge, or that they, relate too much to each other? Some coffee shops also have imagery about it. I think this is also a very interesting aspect to analyze in a place like Starbucks. Right? Additionally to that, talking about Starbucks, I would also take a visit to Starbucks. Not because the coffee is great there. Probably, if you're a very experienced coffee person, and there's a lot of variations there coming from the specialty world, that they tend not to drink coffee at Starbucks. But I really try to encourage people to at least go to one of them, because there's a lot to learn. At least on the organizational setup, on the how they're optimized, how they coordinate. I think there's a lot to learn. Of course, you don't have to take the products or anything, but I would also include one of those into your visits, because you will see that there's quite a lot of topics that are quite good thought through, just because being a huge company, right? And then point number 5, I've also included this sensory experience. How do you consider your whole experience? Normally, people only talk about food and drinks when you're in a coffee shop, but I think there's much more to that. How's the acoustics? How's the olfactory? So does it really smell good when you come in? Many people judge a place also because of that. Comfort, how is comfortness? How is cleanliness? So take a little bit of a rating everywhere. It doesn't matter if 1 is the top or 5 is the top, as long as you understand it afterwards and have a good idea. But you will see that there's many categories about being comfortable, right? One of the things that is, I think, also super funny is it doesn't matter if it's super comfortable, for example, but there's coffee shops that you will realize make coffee shops specifically not comfortable. Why is this? Because they want people to leave after half an hour or 1 hour maximum, right? So you will see that there's coffee shops that are not designed for comfort. It doesn't feel comfortable to sit on those chairs for longer. And they're basically, if they're really good coffee shops, they're thought through like that, right? So if you analyze it with those eyes, you will see, okay, probably this coffee shop is super successful, but it's not comfortable. Is this on purpose or is this not on purpose, right? One of the things also that I would like you to include is this liked most and disliked most about your coffee shops, the coffee shops that you visit. This is also very important because in the end, for me, about all of this exercise is that you write a couple of lists. One of the things is that you write all of the things that you must have in a coffee shop, or the things that without them you would not be able to live, or your concept would not come to be a reality, right? And with those lists, then you will be able then to, as I said, derive the next pieces, right? And finally, this unique selling proposition. As I said, give it a lot of thought. What would be different that you're doing from all of the other coffee shops around? What would be your competitive edge? What product will you have? What service will you have? What setup will you have? Or what will make you completely different, that can make you basically differentiate you? And in some coffee shops, you will be able to identify it. Right? In some of them, you will not, and this is also okay. But it's interesting to come with those glasses and with that perspective to a coffee shop like that. Right? And then finally, I want you to give a very personal grade and verdict to this coffee shop. You can make a note. What was really great, what would you improve, or what you considered really amazing, and what you really liked. Right? And with this, we basically have the whole analysis. It would be a really great starting point, as I mentioned. And the idea, if you do this with, I don't know, 6, or at least, I said at least 4 or 5, but if you do this from 6 to 10 coffee shops, you'll have an incredible good database and starting point on how to move forward, what you want to achieve, and how much this unique selling proposition and all of the other topics come through, right? Good. So basically, I think coming to that, the only thing I wanted to add is that if you have these sheets basically filled, what I also wanted to share, and coming back to my presentation, we have it here. As I said, the idea is that all of these sheets will be then used to your business plan, right? Why? Because the idea of this is to gather exactly what you want to achieve, that you crystallize this concept that you have in your head, that you crystallize the ideas are good and that the ones that are bad from what you have seen out there. And these two things together, you can start creating a lot of the things that you need basically to taking the next steps and to going into the direction of the business plan, right? Why is this? Because also as a reminder, if you go to the free coffee shop launchpad course, and if you go to the simplest business case course that it's open, if you can manage to gather these 5 likes, you will be able to see that below the videos, right, you have this documentation, full business case template. And here you have the outs, where I include the lists of all of the fixed costs, variable costs, and investments, right? If you make this analysis and inspiration in the very first step, you will see that this list will be very easy to complement. You will see that the machinery that you're looking for will be in some of these coffee shops, so you'll have a little bit more clarity. And if you do it very, very thoroughly, you will also see everything that you need, right? So I try to include everything in these fixed and variable cost lists, and also in the investments. But you will be able also to relate it a little bit more to the coffee shops out there, right? So yeah, it's basically the link between these two. And if you have already a business case, you have something incredibly powerful. One important thing that I always say is that it doesn't matter how much you work in your business case. No business case is realistic or 100% reality. But the idea is not to be 100% reality, but to try to be as near to reality as you can. Right? And if you have that, you basically have one of the very first most important steps. Good. So having said that, one last slide, right, so that we can come back. We can then basically turn into the Q&A. As I mentioned, we are recording in the beginning for the people that joined a little bit later. I see one or two more people. So we're recording. I hope this is okay with you. And yeah, we can jump into the Q&A. Please turn on your camera once you want to ask a question, and yeah, we can gladly, very, very much gladly, make this a discussion. So who wants to go first?
Hey, Juan.
Hello, Stacy.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. And yourself?
Doing all right. Hey,
Very
I
good.
I can think of a question. Sorry, I don't have the light on in my room. I
No
can
problem.
think of a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I already own a coffee shop. I bought
Mm-hmm.
it 10 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it was failing at the time. I
Mm-hmm.
have managed to turn it around already.
Congratulations. Yes. Great
Thank you.
step.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But so you were talking about whether it's comfortable, like the coffee shops who make things comfortable, but yet only comfortable for like an hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem that I have run into is
Yes.
the fact that I have people who come in and they're there for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours
Mm-hmm.
because they're so comfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of customers who are also um, former pastors. Um, a lot of definite, I live in the Bible Belt, so there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot, you know, a lot of Christian based faith, which, yes, there is some stuff in the shop that is Christian based faith, shows
Mm-hmm.
the faith, which is great, but I don't know what to do for those who want to stick around for 4+ hours. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. That's nice. And I've had like the pastors tell me, you have created a space that is comfortable, that is safe, that they're like, it's a uh I never can think of the word, ministry. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have created a ministry here.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that
That's.
so many times, which is
Uh-huh.
great. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want people buying one cup of coffee and then sticking around for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm. Can I also ask you, what do they normally do there? Do they stay and work, or is it like just a place where they meet and they talk for 6 hours straight? What was normally what they're doing?
Um, a few of them are working, a few of them are sitting and reading, a few
Mm-hmm.
of them are just sitting around having a conversation. I had two couples that were in, and they were there for 4 hours just sitting at a table talking.
Talking. Yes, and then people come in and they cannot sit and they leave again. Right?
Right, right.
Yes. No, fully understand. And this is also, and you will see that if you take also other coffee shops visits. And what we also did intentionally in our coffee shop, we had really luck of finding an amazing location for a place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had a view on a really beautiful garden looking to a very old palace in Vienna. And basically, would also people would stay for hours. What we did, we changed the furniture and we made it exactly not that comfortable. And that's a little bit of a hint, and I think that's a little bit also with the business in mind, so that people cannot stay that long, right? We also had the challenge that so many people were coming and they were working for hours within the coffee shop. So we put some stamps on the tables that they could not be sitting in the garden with a laptop. So the garden was not a place to work, just a place to enjoy. And many people really enjoyed that and really saw it as a positive change. So that also really helped a lot, right?
Okay.
So it's these small hints that take you in a certain direction. And I also always say that how you make a place is also the type of audience that you get. I'm really I'm very positive that you get a community and they're all very happy about it, right? But as you say, it's about turning it into a business and shaping it so that it's more profitable. Probably this exercise that we explained today about going to different coffee shops it's also really interesting, so that you see what other coffee shops are doing, right,
Right.
around your community or a little bit further away. How are they solving it? But for me, that would be the two things that I would try to implement as quick as possible. Putting some stamps with no computers in this area and just leave one or two tables for computers, and when they're taken, okay, they're taken. Making the furniture probably not that it has to be comfortable, right? It's a coffee shop, but not that comfortable that it's a couch where people take 4 hours for it. One other thing that sometimes also really works is making it intentionally a coffee shop that has no internet, so that you
Yeah.
say that people are there basically to talk with each other. It's possible that you will lose the customers that are talking or going there, sorry, for working. But
Mhm.
yeah. So it's these small hints. I hope this helped.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
I
So any other
appreciate it.
question? Nice to have you here, Stacy. We have talked a bit in the community, but nice to see you.
Yes, we have. It's good to have a chance to see you. Thank you.
You too. Good. Someone else with a question?
Hello. Hi, Juan. Just
Hello,
a quick
Berhan.
one. Hi,
Yes.
how you doing? Thanks for this opportunity. One of my aspirations is to open a coffee shop, and really interested in doing so. I wanted to understand what the level of accuracy would be when it comes to the analysis, looking at different coffee shops, and depending on the location, of course. When it comes to London, there are quite a few, a lot actually, and around where I work, it's student based, and there's a high flow of students. I know one specific location when it comes to a coffee shop, and it's Bank Street Coffee, and it's always busy in the mornings. I also wanted to understand when it comes to the time of analysis, because it like fluctuates a little bit. In the morning, it is very busy, but in the afternoon, it does get busy, but it's a little. It changes every day, and I suppose this depends on the season as well, and of course the type of drinks. A lot of ice drinks are sold, and hot drinks. It depends on the preference as well. I mean, my question is, what can I expect regarding the accuracy of my analysis? If that makes sense.
I think that this is a super interesting question, because it's always, quite open. And it doesn't matter if you do your business case by yourself or you also take the one that we have developed in the community or for the community. What I would do, and I will always also recommend it quite a lot, is do your analysis. And two things. First, in cities like London, I know that in Vienna is true, and in many European big cities, there are maps where you can, and these are provided by the city or the council. There are maps with basically how much foot traffic you have in every street. This is a super interesting thing because you can basically take I don't know how much foot traffic you have in a store that you're comparing to, and how much foot traffic you will have in the location that you will be selecting or that you're analyzing, right? This is one first step, and then you can gather comparable numbers. And one of the other things is one of the things I mentioned in one of the first videos is connect a lot with the network around you. Go to the city, also to the places where you want to open your coffee shop. Go talk to the baristas, and some of them are always very, very glad and open to discuss, right? And if you really truly connect with one or two of them, you will also be able, to say, hey, I want to open a coffee shop in the future. I wanted to ask you, I don't know, how much do you make in your best day? And if you start getting this information by truly connecting with these guys, it gives you an incredible reference point, right? And this is very, very powerful. One of the things that we also did, and we created our business case with this in mind, because one of the guys that started the coffee shop with us was basically one of the best baristas in the city, but had also been working in one of the most successful coffee shops in Vienna, right? And I think I also mentioned it in the videos. And this guy, basically, we together developed the business case saying what was the most profitable day of that coffee shop, what was the least profitable, and with that you then create your business case, having an understanding and what are the good days, what are the bad days. I fully agree with you. It's also important to understand the area and the variations that you have in each of the areas of the city. For us, it was very interesting to see. We had a diplomatic academy near us. We had a lot of embassies. We had offices around us, and we had a couple of schools. And throughout the day, you would see the different types of people coming from the different type of institution, if you want to call it like that, coming to the shop. So you would see the parents that went to the school in the morning, leaving their kids, then dropped to our coffee shop. Then you would have the office people that would start coming from 10:30 to 11. Then you have the people that were starting to go out to lunch from the offices again, right? So analyze the area, see exactly what you have within, what you can expect, and connect to the network. We did that, and I was also like, yeah, it cannot be, how can I do my business case? You have no idea how far it would be. And we were 10% off from what we actually wrote in our business case. And that was incredible to see, that you write a business case, as you say, I don't have no idea how far off I'm going to be, and then you're only 10% off. Is like amazing, right?
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Got it.
Hopefully it answered your question.
Yeah, excellent. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Someone else? Any other question? Any other question from the group?
Hi, John.
Someone else? Hello, Ahmed. How are you?
No, thanks. How you doing?
Very good. How's the project going?
Oh, good. Not bad. We're starting it. So I have a couple of questions here for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So is it better to purchase the devices or lease the devices for the equipment? I mean, like the espresso machines, or what do you think? I'm talking here. I'm not sure about how does it work in Europe, but in Canada, there are some companies. They say, okay, you can lease a device, you can lease to own. You don't have to purchase. You pay everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or the same for the location. Could it be like a sublease, or it should to be our own?
Mm-hmm. For me, I think it depends a lot, right, on the setup that you have, on the budget that you have, and what your idea about this location is. Why do I say that? Because there's also some companies, and at least also in Austria is the case, that it's not only a leasing, but they give you a super cheap machine as long as you buy the coffee from them. But in the long run, so I think I'm having some sun in the background. In the long run, it's a little bit of a challenge, because they give you very expensive coffee and then they keep a lot of the margin, right?
Mhm.
Turn the sun. There we go. So it depends on your situation. What we did, and it was because it also fit to us, I would try to find as many of the machines as you can, if you can find them in a good price used, because we saw it also in the beginning. There's 80% of the coffee shops that fail, right? Or
Mhm.
80 that struggle, I would say 50% that fail. This means that the machines sometimes are pretty in good state and being sold anywhere. In the items that are incredibly expensive, depending what you're focusing on, we got a very, very expensive machine. You can go for a lease, and that's also very, very good because it balances out and you have a little bit more of cash flow in the beginning. If you have all of the budget and that you see that it makes more economic sense not to take a loan, then it's also that you pay it fully, right? It also depends on the funding and how you're funding it and how much you have. For us, we were also quite strained in the money when we were starting the coffee shop. We put all of our savings in one project and we went for it, and we needed to take a lease for the machine because it was a very expensive one. The lease in sometimes can be a very good resource because it helps you a lot in case the project doesn't work, right? That it's always a possibility. It can be anything in between, but if it's on a lease, at least you don't have it as an asset for yourself, right? So yes, it depends a lot. Probably for that we would need to take a more deeper look in your specific business case, right? How much funding you have, where you're getting it from, and then we can make a deeper discussion.
Okay, and the other point is I can see nowadays the coffee shops in general are booming a lot in the last few years, especially after the pandemic.
Yes.
And I'm talking not here just in Canada, even the Middle East, the coffee shops are booming. And I can see even the coffee beans trade is almost the second after the gas all over the world. Now the coffee beans trading is booming a lot, and many countries also they're gonna increase 30 to 40% of their production. So regarding this, what do you think could be the issue that the coffee shops may not make a proper profit? Is it, for
Mm-hmm.
example, the taste of the coffee itself? Myself, I'm roasting our own coffee, so I'm not planning. This is where my
Mm-hmm.
partners enjoy the coffee. Oh, let's open a coffee shop. So, guys, it's not that
Mm-hmm.
technical. Even if you have money, just open that. We have to be very cautious.
Mm-hmm.
Especially they found lots of coffee shops are opening. What could be the changes that could lead to a loss or something, or to avoid?
Mm-hmm. For me, it depends a lot. Where I have seen many people make the biggest mistakes, I would say, is on the location side. Right? The most horrible stories that I have heard in the gastronomy is people that found a location, they fell in love with it, they signed an agreement, and they realized that it would take a long time for them to get a permit. Right? So I heard there's one horrible story here in Vienna that the guys took, I think, 6 to 8 months from that they got and signed an agreement and they were paying rent until they could open, and they were very, very close on getting broke before they even opened because of this decision that destroyed them. Right. So this is a very dangerous topic, and you have to take a lot of considerations, and there's many things that you have to consider also before opening a coffee shop that could be a risk, right? On the other side, I think it's a lot of things together. If the concept is not fitting, if the flavor of the coffee also doesn't come through, if you don't manage to make a really friendly team, that I think is also one of the key things. So there's many directions. So as you say, it's always a risk, and you say that there's a reason why so many fail. On the other side, I really do believe, and I know that coffee shops are one of the most profitable gastronomy businesses there are. Why? Because coffee has a higher margin, right? So if you do a coffee shop right and the concept comes through and people like it and you have a great team, I would not see many reasons why it could go bad, right? But you of course have to put all of the pieces together, think it through. So basically, why all of the reasons why I made the coffee shop launchpad, because there's so many things to consider that people normally just jump into it, and there's many things that can happen, right? Just to consider it a bit more into detail.
Yeah, one of the main challenges, well, I noticed, which I think Stacy bring up to mind, that many people or go to the coffee shop and stays for hours. And those are mainly who works from home. They want another
Mhm.
environment. They want, and they spend there just for a coffee shop, and they spend there for hours. The point is,
Mhm.
you mentioned that you can like ignore internet connection. This is like everywhere now has internet connection. If you don't have internet
Mhm.
connection, many people may not go even your cafe. This is one challenge.
Mhm.
The other thing, the seats should be comfortable as well. So
Mhm.
this is one of the big challenges for
Mhm.
now, because even I go to many different coffee shops, and
Mhm.
all of them have the same scenario.
Mhm.
Young girls or teenagers go there and they gather because this is the cheapest location they can. For example, in winter in Canada, they go inside for a warm. In summer,
Mhm.
it's super hot, so they go inside for the AC. So they
Mhm.
spend their hours for just
Mhm.
$2-3, as you mentioned, for a coffee shop.
Mhm.
So this one will be one of the main challenges nowadays with internet is like an mandatory somehow, and the
Mhm.
good seats, and the same time, takeaway is not just an option.
Mhm. I fully agree with you. There's many challenges, but I think and this is why also it's very important in these first steps to have a very clear concept, right? Understand who is your customer. Depending on where you want to open, do you want to open for students? Then you have to probably make it a little bit cheaper in the beginning. Do you want to make it in a very trendy or fashionable area of the city, right? Do you want to make it in an area where there's a lot of people making home office? Do you want to make it in an area where there's a lot of offices? So all of that triggers a lot of decisions that you can basically take advantage or not take advantage of. And this topic that you mentioned about being comfortable or not, I do think it's a misconception a little bit. I also in the beginning thought, yeah, it's a coffee shop, we have to make it as comfortable as possible, and I have been proven wrong. So this is what one of the concept that one of my co-founders was pushing for, and he said we will not make it comfortable because otherwise they will stay. He convinced me. We did make it comfortable, and anyhow, we won these prizes of some of the best coffee shops in Vienna. Right.
Mhm.
So it's about finding that middle point where it's also good for the business and breaking a little bit those misconceptions. One of the things going in this direction that he also mentioned that I found really really interesting, we said, hey, we have to make it incredibly friendly for babies and for children, and he told me this is the last thing that you want to do in a coffee shop. Why? Because then you have only children and babies that go to this coffee shop and it's mostly a disaster, right? If your concept is to make it for this age band because you have children in this age and you wanted to have them there, it can be a super business, but you have to make the concept in that direction. But if you want to make a cool coffee, a hip coffee, and then give things or make it very comfortable for babies or children, then it mismatches also a little bit. So more than that is having the clarity. What do I want to do? A coffee shop for parents, young parents, super. Then go fully in that. Is it one where you have a lot of students, one where you have offices, one where you have a combination? So it's a mix. And if you have that clarity, then you try to make it a little bit in that direction, right?
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Thank you. I hope it answered your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Someone else with a question? Looking at the time, we only have a couple of more minutes. Very good.
My
So
name
if
is
there's
Tanya.
nothing more. Hello? Hello, Latania.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm new. I had a quick question if it's okay.
No problem. Absolutely. Where are you from? Where are you visiting us from?
New- Queens, New York?
Queens, New York. Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
What's your question?
So I'm totally new and I'm looking to open up a bagel cafe.
Mm-hmm.
So my question was two questions. One question is I just joined in. I only heard a few questions for some of the people. But
Mm-hmm.
do you offer I'm offering bagels with the coffee,
Mm-hmm.
one. And two, would I start out with just like traditional coffee, or do
Mm-hmm.
I need to add like an espresso or some type of like small signature coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have three questions, or a
Mm-hmm.
small signature coffee. And with that being
Mm-hmm.
said, I am a coffee lover, so I know what good
Mm-hmm.
coffee is, but I don't know if I would make it enough to satisfy people. So I heard you mentioning going to coffee shops and looking how other coffee shops run. So as I was listening to you, I was like, maybe I need to hire me a barista, like a person who
Mm-hmm.
knows how to make coffee. Uh, and service like with the food and the bagels too. Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
think about that?
Well, thank you very much for your questions. From my perspective, I think
Mhm.
I would always have at least a half full to full coffee menu, right?
Okay.
Because although it can be really simplified, most of the people do want to have this variety of the different coffee shops, right? Most of the
Hmm.
people was one of our selling products. We're drinking a cappuccino, right? Our
Hmm.
best selling product was basically an iced cappuccino. So
Hmm.
take going in the other side, but I think it on one side your coffee side and your coffee menu will have a very high margin and it what will bring you more money, and
Okay.
if you combine it also with really good bagels, then it makes a really really good combination. So I will not
Uh-huh.
offset that much the coffee side, right,
Okay.
unless you go really for a concept that it's fully focused on the bagel side.
Right. 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 Right.
On the second, your other question, if you're really focusing on coffee or wanted to make it a little bit of a special product, I would try to get near someone that has. It doesn't matter if it's a founder or a good friend or someone that you get involved or not, or a partner or an employee, but
Hmm.
someone that has quite a lot of knowledge in this direction. Why?
Hmm.
Because there's this new trend in the coffee world. I don't know if you have heard about it, specialty coffee,
Hmm.
and they start seeing coffee much more complex than it was. You
Hmm.
need to have the right grinder, you need to have the right
Right.
machine, you need to have
Right.
this and that, and you need to prepare it the right way. So if you have someone with this passion also in your side on your shop, helps a
Hmm.
lot, right?
Okay.
And it can also help you optimize your shop and bring this coffee side, right?
Hmm. Okay.
I hope this answered your question.
Yes, you did. It did. It did a lot.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. And I could start with like a regular coffee, like a drip machine.
There's by now everything that you can implement, right? Like drip machine, you can also code. What is also very interesting, you can do cold brews. I don't know how good
Uh-huh.
they're in the US, but in
Yeah.
here in Europe, they're also beating a lot. So
Yeah.
and you can prepare them very easily and have them ready for when the customers want it. And I think in summer they're also super.
Yeah.
They're coming
Popular.
super. Very
Yeah.
popular. Also,
Yeah.
cold drinks for the summer. Well, we have this iced cappuccino that I'm telling you. We have
Hmm.
this. It was a secret recipe, and I
Hmm.
also give it away in the paid course,
Okay.
where you can basically copy the same recipe. And for us, it was the biggest success. This
A
product.
hit.
Whenever we
Okay.
started the summer, we had our iced cappuccinos. Very simple to make. Very good price wise, and the margin was excellent, and
Mm-hmm.
the people were basically posting them like crazy because they also looked beautiful, right?
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna look
Oh
into
yes.
that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very good. Good. So it's already 6 o'clock here in Vienna. We'll need to leave it at there. Thank you very much, all of you guys, for joining. One of the last things, if you're also interested, I normally try to promote quite a lot that you book a session together with me, and normally I also explain you how to take the next steps there. I will sharing my screen. If you go here to this coffee shop launchpad on the right side, you will be able to book a call together with me, right? The idea of that call is to make a little bit of a strategy. What are your next steps? What we can do together? How I can help you? And then we see if then it's a fit or not a fit for coming to the full program, where I also can support you one on one, right? But it was a pleasure. I always really like to talk to people within the community, and more than it's only already starting. I really like to hear your questions because, like that, I can also um, design the community better, understand what you really want to see, what you really want to hear, and basically put all the pieces so that it makes sense also for you. So thank you very much for our call today, and looking forward to our continuous conversation or working together with you if you jump on and feel motivated for the support. Have a good rest of the day.